What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to another great episode of DJ Reacts. We have an absolute banger for you. So in one of my previous videos, I said, I get tired of people calling everything Illuminati and, using just the wrong terminology because it just sends the wrong message and it confuses people. And I said, if you want me to do a video on, what the Illuminati truly is or who the real ruling families of the world are, let me know. And you guys responded, so here I am. Now I'm hesitant about a lot of things in this video because I've seen numerous people do this and either get shut down or, like on TikTok, I've seen people try to just like go a little bit in on this and they've just been banned. So we're going to give it a shot. So stick with me. I'm doing this for you guys. Rocking with the content. You like what I do, do me a favor. Smash that like, subscribe, and notification bell. You know me, I'm all about positive vibes and I'm all about us being aware of what's going on in our world. That's the main thing, being aware of what's going on in our world. Doesn't matter if we're talking about, decalcifying our pineal glands, raising our frequencies, the earth raising its frequencies, which are tangible and quantifiable. We can measure all of that scientifically. This is not like people aren't just, well, a lot of people are using it as a catchphrase, but it's not just a catchphrase. We can measure this. So, and we go into a lot of things, if we're talking about, the different planets that were here before us. We talk about Tiamat before the Earth was here. Earth came from Tiamat. Tiamat had a collision, and that's where we get our asteroid belt. Mars was a moon of Tiamat before then. This is not me talking. This is the Sumerian text talking. So, regardless of the topic we're talking about, we're trying to inform and make people aware. Also, there's a lot of bad stuff going on that we want to be aware about, So, whether it's, big pharma, big medicine, any of that, we want people to be aware. So, we do our best to put as much information out there, but we can only spoon feed a little bit at a time. Otherwise, it'll feel like, somebody's cramming it down your throat with an agenda. That's not what we're about here. So we're all about positivity, good vibes. I appreciate all of you that comment. I love that you comment. I love interacting with you guys. You guys are the absolute best. And, I don't get paid for doing this. And, there's no money in it for me, but you guys don't have to do anything but click that like and subscribe. That way we can run the numbers up on the algorithm, make more people aware, because we need to correct a lot of things. Not only ourselves, but we need to correct the things that come out of our mouths. As you all know, intent is everything. Words that come out of your mouths are spells. Our intent manifests reality. That's just that. That's scientifically known. It's being thrown around again as a catchphrase, but it's true. It really is true. But things have to be aligned for that to happen. You can't just say things and they happen. When heart and mind are one, then you can manifest. And you also have a brain in your heart that's called the little heart brain that has more neurons than your actual brain. So the two need to be one. And then when the two are one, consciousness comes in, manifest. So we can get into that later. But as always, as a disclaimer, this is for entertainment purposes only. Don't believe anything I say. I'm full of BS. And don't believe anything that you see on these videos. This is for entertainment purposes only. And I hope you're entertained. So we will get into it. Now stick with me here because this isn't my typical video. I'm not playing a bunch of TikToks or other videos. This is me reading. And just stick with me. Even if you've seen this part before, what's coming up next, I guarantee you the majority of do not know or have not seen. So, I'm going to read. We can read together. These are the 13 families in the world that apparently control everything from politics to, can I say that word? To, you see the word. This is about the fascinating conspiracy theory that claims these most powerful families in the world own 99% of the wealth, leaving 1% for the rest of the world to fight over. These are families that have a hold in almost every sphere of life, be it politics, business, or entertainment. The 13 bloodlines are said to have connections to wealth and power that are simply unimaginable, and these families span from Europe to China. The leading researcher behind the Illuminati Families is a man named Fritz Springmeier, an author and educator, and he has presented some of the most compelling details about the Illuminati bloodline. Now, if you know anything about the Illuminati, created by Adam Weishaupt, he had 5 sons. He sent his 5 sons out into 5 continents of the world to take over, well, to create the banking system and to control the flow of money, to control, everything dealing with money. So his 5 sons went out and they would start wars, profit off of both sides, create conflict, profit off of both sides. Anything that they did, they made sure that they profited. So, and that's because they started the banking systems, and the countries that they started them in, had to borrow money from them. Let's continue. The leading researcher behind the Illuminati I already read that. Before you read the following article about Illuminati families, it is imperative that you realize that all of these are popular points of view and remain just a conspiracy theory unless proven otherwise. But GD, is it a great conspiracy theory? So this is from one of the Rothschilds. I care not what puppet is placed on the throne of England to rule the empire. The man who controls Britain's money supply controls the British Empire, and I control the British money supply. Nathan Meyer Rothschild. And remember, me being German, from Germany, the Rothschilds are from Germany. We're all Bavarian, old school traditional German. Rothschild is the American change up of their name, but it means it's Rothschild, which means red shield, German. Their coat of arms. My family has a coat of arms as well, but it's not, anything like theirs or even as well known. It's a family thing. My family just goes back, to the 16th century. So anyways, some say in an attempt to restore balance in the world, a new world order was formed. Now, this is an interesting word or phrase because I have books that my mother gave me from 1950 and 1960 that she had already read called New World Order with a pyramid on it and eye and all of these things that you see on the dollar bill. These things were not secret. Things in Europe aren't as secretive as they are in the US. Like we talk about Agenda 21 openly, but and on the news. But if you talk about it in the US, you're labeled a conspiracy theorist. So I just wanted to make that distinction. Formed by America and Europe's most elite, both in terms of wealth and power, with historical roots that date back centuries, this powerhouse formed by 13 families is known to be controlling practically everything around the globe. From political parties around the world, courthouses, educational institutions, natural resources, foreign policies, food, national economies, media houses, media, music industry, Hollywood, media houses, even error organizations. There we go. They are the ones who decide where and when the next error attack is going to happen. They decide when the markets will fall. They decide when a new government needs to take over. They decide what happens at the UN. They decide practically everything. So if there's one thing you all know about me that I talk about a lot is GMOs, genetically modified organisms, or GMO foods. Now, I can't remember the guy's name, but the guy that started GMO foods tried to bring that crap to Germany, and our Chancellor Angela Merkel, banned him. Said I would never do that to my people, and gave him 1 hour to leave the country or be forced out. And he's banned from ever going back. Now, he also owns Roundup. And he's also on patents of heart medication. Put them together, So let's get back into this. The US and UK government's relentless backing for the global spread of genetically modified seeds was in fact the implementation of a decades-long policy of Rockefeller Foundation since the 1930s. When it funded, I can't say that word on YouTube, when it funded the bad Germans' eugenic research, mass-scale population reduction and control of darker-skinned races by an Anglo-Saxon white race or white elite. As some of these circles saw it, war as a means of population reduction was costly and not that efficient. William Engdahl in his book Seeds of Destruction. I have that book. I have read it. I would suggest you read it. What we don't know. Modern day democracy, like the way we know it, is not more than 250 years old. I would argue that. Because modern day democracy is an exact replica of the Republic of Rome. But I digress. Let's continue. The world as we know it has always been ruled by the ones with absolute power, those who know how to control wealth and resources. By those who knew how to control their people by hook or by crook. The New World Order aims to work on a similar philosophy of absolute power and control, but on a global scale. The plan is to secretly have a single body governing the planet, with the elite sitting right on top of the food chain, leaving the rest of the world to fight it out for that 1% of the global economy. It's actually now 99.5% that they have, and we're all over here scratching at the bit. Is that the American term? Crunching at the bit. We're scraping for 0.5%, whatever the term is. I forget some American colloquialisms. Forget. But yeah, it's more like 0.5% now. So, where was I? The plan is to secretly have a single body governing the planet, with the elite sitting right on top of the food chain, leaving the rest of the world to fight it out for that 0.5% of the global economy. Scarier is the fact that they apparently also want to keep control of the global population. They want the global population to just be under 1 billion, leaving Earth's resources for their own exclusive use. Now, if you notice things like Bill Gates, he has publicly stated this. This psychopathic lunatic has sat there and said, we didn't get him with the first, I can't say the disease name, but it's the 19th revision of the flu. We didn't get him with this one, 18, but next one, we'll get them. He has said that publicly, and I can show you videos if you haven't seen these videos. But he's definitely not in this group. He's controlled, but there's a much larger underlay behind all of this. So let's get back to it. And to keep the population in check, crap. And to keep the population in check, they are willing to go to any extent, even plan scientifically engineered global population control methods like viruses, vaccines, and genetically modified food. It is also said that these families even hold a cure for terminal diseases like cancer and AIDS, but don't want to release it to the public because then there'll be a cure, and a cure is not good for the pharma business. John D. Rockefeller, in 1882, he set up one of the first investment management businesses designed to run a single family's money. I can guarantee you for a fact, this is not my opinion, this is not me speaking, I can guarantee you for a fact that many people have figured out the cure for these diseases. Many people. One of the now there's different ways that they figured it out. There's multiple ways to cure these diseases. Now, one of the people that I saw maybe 10 years ago was a Canadian bioengineer, and he was fresh out of college. He was about 29, and you're very dewy-eyed and fresh out of college. You're just wanting to get in there and do good work. And in Canada, he figured out the cure for AIDS, and he blabbed about it. And guess what? He was found unalived in a hotel room. So, of course, there's a cure. There's a cure for everything. There's a natural cure for everything. But since 1920, the Rockefellers have demonized natural cures. They went on a religious campaign throughout this country, throughout the U.S., and in Europe, and they demonized natural things, holistic, homeopathic, anything natural. They said that's Satan's work. It's anti-Christian. It's devil worship. Nature does nothing. It's because they were switching to petroleum-based medications, and that's what we have now. Rockefeller also made the school system the way it is now. He specifically said, if I can have people in school by the time they're 7, in one generation, I'll have control of the world. They asked, what do we teach them? Teach them everything about nothing. Makes sense. So you're indoctrinated from the time you enter school. You're indoctrinated that entire time. What are you learning? You're learning how to obey. You're learning how to read what other people have prepared for you. You're not learning how to think critically. You're not learning how to be an entrepreneur, how to start a business, how to do any of these things, how to even do your taxes. You're not learning any of that. He says, teach them everything about nothing, and by the time they are young adults, they will be so good at obeying, and they will know, hey, I've got to get grants to go to college because that costs money here, where in most countries it's free. And then I've got to work hard to pay back that money. And then at some point, maybe I'll have a life and get married and have a family and then work my butt off until I'm 65 and then retire with barely enough to survive on. If, I go by their plan. So, yeah. They had they were masters at planning. And this was all in the 1920s and 30s. This is nothing new. But this is when they started it. It was being planned in the 1800s. They started it in the 20s and 30s. Let's continue. The master planners devised the strategy of a merger, a great merger among nations. But before such a merger can be consummated, and the United States become just another province in a new world order, there must at least be the semblance of parity among senior partners in the deal. How does one make the nations of the world more nearly equal? The insiders determined that a two-pronged approach was needed. Use American money and know-how to build up your competitors, while at the same time use every devious strategy you can devise to weaken and impoverish this country. You hear what I just said? The goal is not to bankrupt the United States. Rather, it is to reduce our productive might and therefore our standard of living to the meager subsistence level of socialized nations of the world. The plan is not to bring the standard of living in less developed countries up to our level, but to bring ours down to meet theirs coming up. It is your standard of living which must be sacrificed on the altar of the New World Order. Gary Allen, in his book, The Rockefeller File, which is also a great book. I suggest you read. I think the PDF is free online. If I find it, I'll put it in the link. So here we go. David Rockefeller. Some even believe we are part of a secret cabal working against the best interest of the United States, characterizing my family and me as internationalists and of conspiring with others around the world to build a more integrated global political and economic structure. One world, if you will. If that's the charge, I stand guilty and I am proud of it. David Rockefeller. Have you seen his father, John D. Rockefeller? That man looks like evil incarnate. But let me tell you something about the Rockefellers that most people won't tell you. I'm sorry. Not the Rockefellers. The Rothschilds. So, I hope I don't get banned for this. So, the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds have always wanted to be royalty. Always. Now, they control so much money to where, I can't remember his name, the head of the Rothschild family. But it's funny, he and John D. Rockefeller look about the same. Of course, before Rockefeller died, but Rothschild, he built a house in England not that long ago, and it cost more than the palace. He always wanted to be of royal blood. But guess what? He is of Jewish descent. And I hope I don't get banned or blacklisted for saying that, but I'm just stating that he tried to buy his way into the royal family. He tried to buy his way into it, and when that didn't work, he decided to build one of the most expensive houses on a hill, more lavish than the royal palace. And then he had a housewarming party, and he had all of these paintings that, museums don't even have, original pieces, and had a housewarming party. Invited many of the royal family members there. Very few came. The queen did not. She did not. Because of his blood. Because of the bloodline he comes from. So this is where we're going to start getting into the real 13 families. But after this, so 13 families that secretly control the world. Now, for those famous bloodlines who control everything, these guys are so rich and powerful, they make Ambani and Gates look like peasants. That is true. Their ideologies and connections aren't known to the public, which is why we don't know much about them. Don't question yourself if you don't recognize them. That was their plan throughout. So we have the Astor bloodline, the Bundy bloodline, the Collins bloodline, the DuPont bloodline. Them. The Freeman bloodline, Kennedy bloodline, the Lee bloodline, the Onassis bloodline, Jackie Onassis, the Greek, I forget, it's like food, seafood or something, and the Rockefeller bloodline. Look at them. The Russell bloodline, Van Doon bloodline, Merovingian bloodline, as you would see in that movie, The Da Vinci Code, the Merovingian, which is very real. It's not a fake thing. And there he is. The Rothschild bloodline. That is the face of evil incarnate. And this should be a beautiful thought in your mind. Way he's sitting, that lavish chair, looking at that camera with all of the evil intent in his mind. The English royal family looks at him the same way he looks at the rest of us. So, take comfort in that at least. But there's talk that the English royal family isn't even human. I know you guys have heard this. There's rumor that they're reptilian. Well, I kind of steered away from these topics for a while. But let me tell you one experience I had that led me to even inquire into this. So, I was tuned in to an English broadcasting channel. It's a small broadcasting channel. Seeing what's going on in the UK, I used to live there. Got English in my family, just curious. And what I came across was a protest. And so there were a lot of cameras, but these weren't mass media cameras. These were small media, like, internet cameras. Not quite a podcast, but just multiple, like, internet news channels reporting at once. and there was a woman standing in the middle, and there was about 300 or 400 people out there. And you know, she was on her soapbox talking about her experience within the royal castle. And so she stated that she was captured as a child and she was abused and all kinds of things, and she saw people, you know, friends of hers that, you know, went for walks with the queen that never came back. I'm gonna get banned. Uh, they're gonna fuck me on this. So went for walks with the queen. You know, they were orphans, and so queens would visit the orphanage. You know, they would go for walks with the queen and one of her sons, but the ones that went with the queen never came back. And she specifically talks about one of her male friends. Well, she says somehow she ended up being not adopted by them, but like taken in for a period of time by them. And so did many children. And she said she was put into this room where she was chained up. You know, you would typically see someone chained up, you know, arms spread, legs spread, chained up, you can't move. She said her son Prince Edward, and this woman is emoting. She's crying before she can even talk about this. You know, as soon as she starts to talk about it, you know, your mind relives. Excuse me. Your mind relives that, right? So she breaks down, takes a while. You know, people are trying to comfort her. You know, you can do it because the people need to hear. And that was the big thing, is the people need to hear. The people need to know the truth. And so she got herself together, and she said that Prince Edward would come in and close the door behind him and shift. He would shift into whatever reptilian he is. But he wouldn't do anything. He would just stand there. But seeing, you know, think about it. If this is true, and you're looking at what you think to be a human being, and they actually shift into a big ass bipedal reptile, it's gonna, you know, it's gonna really mess your mind up. And so she says he would stand there. Hang on, I gotta move. I can't stand. Looks like he's just, like he's just filth, mud, blood, or whatever. So I don't like them. Go back up. I don't like any. See, this is what I'm talking about. Him? Look at him. His face. I'll get back to the reptile stuff. John D. Rockefeller. Look at him. Oops. Him. Him? Who's more smug? There's his son. Smugness. Smugness is palatable. It's disgusting. Anyways, but this isn't even the good part. So, like I was saying, so she said he would shift, he would stand there. And then she would come in. The Queen of England, Queen Elizabeth. who knows how old she truly is. She would come in and she said that she would taunt her. She would turn her back to her and undress. She would start to undress like this and hold herself and then look behind her. And then she said she would start to shift her face only and turn and look at her. And you know, to a normal person, freaking the fuck out, like, just looking at me. But then, not only did she shift, but when she did, she was larger, bigger than any of the others. But see, she needed, and the girl talks about this. The woman, she was a woman. She looked like 32-year-old woman at the time. She said that they needed her to fear. That's why they did it like that. Why would they need her to fear? What are they getting from her? Adrenochrome, right? That's why they needed her to fear. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been a game. They wouldn't have done it to where it brought out the utmost fear. Think about it. You're a normal person and you see an old lady or an old man or anybody, you know, 5'8", 5'10", 6 foot, and all of a sudden they undress in front of you and completely shift to a bipedal 8 or 9 foot reptile. Who could endure that? And this poor woman did. What she says. And you can, the way she's saying all of this, I mean, she can barely get through a sentence without just dropping to her knees. People are having to pick her up and they're saying, continue, be strong. The people need to hear this, you know? And that's what caught my eye. I didn't, you know, at first I was like, it's bullshit. But, you know, I've studied, you know, body language. When I studied when I was pre-med, and just watching her was very convincing. But we're gonna skip from this and get into the good stuff now. So I've said that if that part didn't get me banned, this next part definitely will. So stick with me, smash that like and subscribe, please. I need it. Smash it up, smash it up, smash it up. And hell, even repost, because I haven't seen anyone go as in depth as I'm about to go. And what I'm going to tell you is all of the families that you just saw, they want you to think that's who rules the world. We're about to get in who actually rules the world. I'm not talking banking. Yeah, these people do rule a lot of things in the world. They're public. They're publicly known. I'm going to show you real family. Okay, so if you have stuck with me thus far, I appreciate it. Been a lot of work put into this. But this right here is my own personal document. And I have a lot of these documents because over the decades, I've accumulated a lot of different things that I just like to put in my own format. So I'm going to start here and I just want to say that not the first 13, but these 13 families, I will put a link to in the description. I will even put PDFs. You know, there are some good PDFs that if you really want to know the real, then you need to look at these links and read these PDFs. Okay, so we're going to get into the real 13 families, because the previous 13 families, they run much of the world, but they are not the true 13 families. See, those previous 13 families are very public. These true 13 families are very private. You would never know who they are. So I have different documents that we're going to get into. Now, I have all of these things in my own personal files, but I'm going to give you guys these links, and I would suggest you read them. Look, I'm not going to sit here and do genealogy and, you know, treacherous reports of what these 13, each family, 13 different families have done. What I will do is do a summarization of who they are, what they are, and I will provide links for you all to read all of that, because, you know, one of my biggest things is do your own research. I will provide links, I will provide PDFs, I will provide everything that you need to understand this and read it. Certain things, I mean, I'm probably already banned for what I already said, but certain things I just can't talk about on here because they're so despicable and disgusting and inhumane that it's not something that I can even talk about. And you guys know that. It's YouTube guidelines. Also, I'm a complete liar. I'm full of BS, and all of this is just for entertainment anyways. None of it's true. So, you know, we're going to start with that. But I'm going to read, and I want you all to see that I want you all to be able to read with me, or at least see these names. So, you know, you don't have to read with me. You can look and listen. But either way, I want these words to stick into your mind, because it goes a lot deeper than most people will let you know. And I'm not even sure if YouTube is the platform to do this on, but I'm going to give it a shot. So let's see where we can go. The Synagogue of Satan, that comes from the Christian Holy Bible, right? Excuse me. That comes from, you know, the Abrahamic God. So, the Synagogue of Satan, a quote from the Bible, an ancient global cabal of Ptolemaic papal bloodlines. Okay, Ptolemaic papal. Papal is the papacy, the popes, right? Bloodlines of the Aldobrandini, Breakspear, Farnese, Orsini, Samaglia families. Let's get into it. Many people have heard of the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Windsors, the Bushes, but not many people have ever heard of the Ptolemaic papal bloodlines of the Aldobrandini, the Farnese, the Orsini, Samaglia, and Breakspear of the Vatican in Rome and Florence, Italy. Lore and the real power behind the curtain, right under Satan's all-seeing eye on the power pyramid. So this is where all power comes from. I don't know if you've heard the term all roads lead to Rome. And so when they say that our democracy has only been 250 years, no, we are the new Rome. This has been not only foretold, but it has become such to where we are Rome. Look at our Capitol buildings. Look at our democracy. Look at the words we use. Look at how our democratic republic is set up, and look at the Republic of Rome. They created this, and they created it to such to where we would eventually become them. I digress. They are insanely wealthy and have many large estates in Rome and all over the globe to perform their satanic rituals and black mass sex orgies. At one of the most famous of these palaces of perversion is the Via Aldobrandini in Rome. Their power base stems from the ancient Egypt to the present power base of the occult Vatican, and are all satanic members of the synagogue of Satan. Let that sink in. They are all members of the synagogue of Satan. Rome, Catholic Church. This is nothing against Catholics. This is about the power of the Vatican, Vatican City. Vatican City has its own banks. They have their own banks. They're one of the most powerful nations in the world. They are also one of the most smallest. But you know what? They hold information that no one else has. Like I said in one of my previous videos, rumor is, let's leave with that. Rumor is that the fire inside of the Library of Alexandria was created by them so that they could loot all of the knowledge out of there, store for themselves. And that's exactly what happened. That's why you have this famous Vatican underground library that not only is sealed, but is set a certain amount of oxygen per quadrant, depending on what kind of material is in there. Because remember, paper didn't exist back then. They were writing on papyrus. Well, papyrus will get brittle, break off. So you have to keep humidity up. Oxygen as well, but humidity. You know, 100 years ago when people started using paper, they don't have to have that kind of mixture in those quadrants. But let's keep going. Their power base stems from the ancient Egypt to the present power base of the occult Vatican, and are all satanic members of the synagogue of Satan. The Ptolemaic papal bloodlines are the ultra wealthy in money and power, but are completely morally bankrupt and totally corrupt, also lacking completely in honesty and ethical behavior, and work only towards one evil goal of the one world government under the rule of their god Lucifer, Satan, and his band of fallen angels, Nephilim demons, and human puppet of the Ptolemaic bloodline descended from Cain and their minions. Their villas and chateaus are probably haunted with the souls of the victims, which were most likely children. Their blood rituals or apocalypse rituals are to Baal. You know who Baal is. Everybody knows Baal. Baal Aldebaran, Lucifer, Satan. The word apocalypse translates from the Hebrew to English as burnt offering. Burnt offering, and consisted of an altar with a fire or inside it, and the sacrifice victim crispy to death Can I say that? I just did. I might have to mute that. On top of this sacrificial altar, God speaks directly about this sect of the synagogue of Satan in Revelation 2.9. They are the rich. I know your works in tribulation and poverty, but you are rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. Revelation 2:9. Now, if you've been on my channel, if you've been with me from the beginning, I am never trying to push an agenda. I do not conform to religion. Religion was created to control us. It was created to control the masses. You know, even literacy, most people weren't literate. You know, you had a lot of these families, and I'll get into some of them, that had they produced 34 cardinals and 3 popes. You know, look at the Borgias. The Borgias, if you look at Cesar Borgia, Da Vinci had a relationship with his son. So Cesar Borgia was so maniacal and egotistical that he told Da Vinci to paint his son's face on every place where Christ was. That's who you're looking at when you look at these modern images of Yeshua, the Anointed One. You're looking at Cesar Borgia's gay son. You know, not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying that that's who it is. This is historical fact. This is not heresy or any of those things. But it is all a lie because I'm just doing this for entertainment. So let's get into some of the knit and grit. So this is the part that I really did not want to get into because some of this right here is one of my personal files. But I will provide links to all of this information. So the real 13 Zoroastrian bloodlines of the Illuminati. If you don't know who Zoroaster is, it was not going to say a precursor Christianity, but there were prophecies, for hundreds of years about Christ coming, and a lot of people tried to be the Christos. They tried to be the Anointed One. So a lot of religions popped up that weren't real. Zoroaster was one of them, and they still exist to this day. They're not that well known, and they pretty much stay in the shadows for good reasons. But there are plenty of places in the US that you can find a Zoroaster group or church, whatever they like to call it. It's not good. That's who the Zoroastrians are. Ptolemaic Papal bloodlines. Orsini, Breakspear, Aldobrandini, Farnese, Somaglia, all control through the Jesuit order and their Knights of Malta and Teutonic Knights, all based in missile-protected Borgo Santo Spirito in Rome. So I want you to remember that. The Jesuit order. I've talked about this in one of my other videos, and I would not show the Jesuit manifesto, but I did talk about how it took me almost a week to read it, and it wasn't that long. And the one that people are posting on TikTok is not the true one. I'm not going to post a link to it. You can find it yourself. It's easy to find. Just know that if you find this short one that is maybe 6 paragraphs, that's not the real one. So look for something else. I can tell you that. I'm not going to post it because, I don't want to get banned, pretty much. I'll be honest. But you can find it. I'm not sure if that's proper to post. I don't, Is it entertaining? Yeah. Was it for me? No. It disgusted me. It was a realization that I needed to come to, but took me a while to deal with once I really came to it. So I'm not going to post that. If you want to go look for it, it's out there. It's easy to find. Just remember, the long one, not the short one. So, Pepe Orsini, Italy, Henry Breakspear, Macau, China. This is the true power, finally. This is the Guelph and the Ghibelline power over mankind. The Cecil family were controlled by the powerful Jesuit family known as the Pallavicini. Ugh. Maria Camilla Pallavicini is far more powerful than Queen Elizabeth II. I need to say that again. It's a powerful statement, all right? The Queen and Prince Philip are totally subordinates to the papal bloodline, the Breakspear family, and their Jesuit UKHG at 114 Mount Street. Please go and study who funded Elizabeth I, that astronomical amount of money to fight the Spanish. Yes, Pallavicini, the most powerful man right now in the conspiracy over this world, is a Roman by the name of Pepe Orsini of the powerful Roman papal bloodline, the Orsini, also known as Orso, and the ancient Maximus family. There is no one more powerful than this figure, who is really the Grey Pope. Okay, now that's a new word for you guys, I'm sure. The Grey Pope. So you have the White Pope. That's the Pope we all know. Stands publicly in the papal seat. Also is just a puppet. Of course, just like US President is a puppet. Then you have the Grey Pope, which we just went through. Now, the most powerful, in my opinion, this is my opinion. I have very good evidence of why this is the correct opinion, but the most powerful person on the planet is the Black Pope. The Jesuit Black Pope. When Bush was in office, when Obama was in office, and they're signing, things on TV, either side you see 2 Jesuits. 2. One on each side, watching to make sure he does what he's told to do. I can give you a list. I didn't even think about that before this video. I can give you a list of who the Black Popes are. Because just like the Grey Pope and the White Pope, one lives forever. Some things live longer than others, but so you have your White Pope that holds the papal seat, right? You have previous popes. It's the same with the gray pope and the black pope. But the black pope, everyone answers to him. Everyone. Everyone. Rockefeller, Rothschilds, Rothschilds. Everyone in the Vatican. Everyone answers to this person. And I might post who the current black pope is and previous ones were after this. I might. Think about it as I'm reading. This is just getting to dangerous ground. Where were we? Gave the address? Okay. The most powerful man right now in the conspiracy over this world is a Roman by the name of Pepe Orsini of the powerful Roman papal bloodline, the Orsini, also known as Orso, and the ancient Maximus family. There is no one more powerful than this figure who is really the great pope. The papal bloodlines are the secret shadow hierarchy of the Jesuit order, even behind the Black Pope, touted at the number 1. These powerful bloodlines are the Breakspear, Somaglia, Orsini, Parnassi, Aldobrandini. You'll notice David Rothschild marrying into the Aldobrandini with the pretty Princess Olympia Aldobrandini. That is an interesting figure right there. Olympia Aldobrandini. Olympia. Now, she has a nickname of what is it? I can't remember, but it means the female pope in Italian. My Italian is rusty. La Pepese. Anyways, the female pope. I will put links to all of this. Another real head of this is Henry Breakspear, who resides now in Macau in China. Many of the papal bloodline heads now live in Asia and India. What does that tell you? The current Black Pope, Adolfo Nicholas, was bought for the position due to the Jesuits bringing about of Asia as the next power player of the agenda. I do remember Adolfo Nicholas. Now, here's the thing. You're probably wondering why China, why India? So, out of all of the world, right? India never played ball until recently. China never played ball until recently. Japan never really played ball, but they did, and then they didn't, then they did, then they didn't. But not with them. The reason being is because all of these countries, India does not care about money. They care about wisdom, spirituality more than anything. And it's said that they were the hardest country to purchase by these people. They were the hardest to purchase. But they have a population crisis going on, and they have disease running rampant, and they have a class system. And a lot of these people in the lower class systems need help, and they don't have the money to provide it. So now money becomes the thing. China does not accept outsiders. Get that? China does not accept outsiders. Yeah, they're nice. I've been to China. Love it. I grew up very Asian. Every day I would come home from school and I would eat kimchi and noodles. Lunch. You know, I studied Muay Thai, Thai fighter for years. I've been to lots of Asian countries, and I've got Asians in my family. Mostly Thai and a couple Koreans. But yeah, China will not accept outsiders. But they do want to grow. And so, Vatican Jesuits, the Black Pope, helped them grow in a way that they weren't able to before. Now, this should be scary. This should be terrifying because you're talking about things that never happened before. These things would normally never happen. Now they're happening. But there's always a silver lining because, as I say, beginning of my videos, talking about our frequency rising. I'm talking about the moon's frequency lessening, the sun's frequency. These coronal mass ejections are just becoming more powerful. And this is very important, especially for Earth's frequency rise and ours to rise along with it. Sun, not the moon. And so now they're realizing that, oh, we can measure all this. All of these things are true. Guess what? There's a time that's going to come where elites are going to get what's coming to them. Now, personally, I think if it had been a few European countries that were aware of this all at the same time, we would have stood together, because that's one thing we do. People may think Germans are rude or hateful. No, very nice people. It's rare to see someone be rude to you in public. Germany, great people. We took in 1 million Syrian refugees, more than any other country. And you know what? Government gave them vouchers to stay at hotels. Well, they would stay at these hotels, and then the government failed to pay them. So guess who took on the responsibility of housing them? German people. And I'm not talking elderly people. I'm talking 20, 30-year-olds. They're like, hey, you know, they created a website, access on your phone with a little app. Say, hey, you know, we live here. We're in this state or city, but we live in this state. All our city states. And we can afford, you know, one adult man for 4 days. That's how much food we have. Now with Syrians being Muslim, you know, they were appreciative. They didn't understand the language, and being that they're, I'll just say, masculine inclined, they appreciated it, but it also feels like a handout. So there was a bit of that. But places like Scotland put them all in a chain link fence in these tents and just gave them footballs to play all day. Yeah, they were happy to be away from war. Come on. You know? The racism in that? Distasteful. Very distasteful. So thick in the air. They talked about it openly. These people are running from war that they have no parts of. You know? A lot of countries did that. So, anyways, let's get back to this. I'm sorry. I got off on a tangent. I do that sometimes. I just want you to understand that Asia being involved, whether we're talking, you know, Central or South Asia, Asia is usually not involved in these things. Now they are. That should scare you. That should concern you heavily. Because look at what's going on right now in the world. Look, China, Russia. Look, I'm not going to say too much, but I want you to look for yourself, but I'm giving you the direction. China, Russia, look what's going on. Right? Look what the Rockefeller said. We don't want the United States to raise in their living situation. We don't want them to become, a third world country. We want them to lower their standards and meet the third world countries as they're coming up. And then we have all these issues here, and people are like, well, this is America on my chest. This is America. Are we in a third world country? How can this be? This is why. Excuse me. If we don't stand together and do something about this, it's never going to go our way. We have to stand together as a people. We have to realize that we're all one. We have to realize that we are all together. We are all the same. If you're too fucking stupid to realize that, if you've ever been to a doctor and your doctor has ever said, oh, well, you know what, you're black. Never worked on you guys before. Let me get Frederick from over here. He's used to this stuff. Never worked on you guys before. If you've ever experienced that, I'd give you half a year's worth of my paycheck. Doesn't happen. We're all the same. 4% of our genome, 4% of our DNA makes up what you see on the outside. Eye color, hair color, texture, skin color, makes up all that. And when you're like me, you have red hair, brown hair, used to be blondish brown, mustache, blonde, red, brown, just all fucked up. Can never get it to be the same color. I digress. Sorry, that's one of my tangents. Let's get back into this. So, Asia as the next power player of the agenda. Both this black pope and the white pope aren't of papal bloodline. They're not. They are both commoners. Think about that. Think about that. They are commoners. Commoners. They're normal people. They're normal people. They do not have the bloodlines. Now, there's something to be said about European bloodlines. There's something to be said about royal bloodlines of England. I don't respect it. I don't give a shit about it. But there's something to be said when you're sticking with your bloodlines. But these are commoners. So if you read the manifesto of the Jesuits and you see what they have to do, if you know anything about gangs, you hear I'm talking about on site, green light, on site. Jesuits have the same things. Think about what a commoner have to do to move up in that org, especially to become the gray or black pope. Eesh. Wouldn't want that on my conscience. Fuck that. I damn near cry when I fucking hit a deer in winter that jumped out in front of me. What they do? Just read it. You'll see. So let's get into it. They are both commoners. I've named the most powerful families on the planet. I've named the Grey Pope, the one in between, the white and black but unseen. Saturnalian Brotherhood. That's something you guys might not have heard. That is a real thing. Worship of Saturn. When you see these black boxes, black squares, it's the Saturnalia Brotherhood. And just think about it. Look it up. Where in the world do you see these massive black squares? You tell me. I already know, but I want you to do the work. I'm not going to do every little thing for you. Do this little bit of work. Look up, where are these large black squares? The Catholic Church created the religion of Islam. That's probably going to piss, well, every Muslim off. Okay. You know, I'm more than likely lying. I'm lying. But yeah, they created it for a reason. Let's get into it. Saturnalian Brotherhood. The real 13 Zoroastrian bloodlines of the Illuminati bloodlines of the Illuminati House of Borgia House of Breakspear House of Somaglia House of Orsini House of Conti House of Chigi House of Colonna House of Parnese House of Medici House of Gaetani House of Pamphili House of Este House of Aldobrandini House. These Egyptian Ptolemaic dynasty rulers are in full control of the company of Jesuit, that's supposed to be Jesuit, not Jesus, Jesuit High Grade Council of 10, the Black Pope. This is some good info on the Black Pope. The Black Pope, Superior Jesuit General, the President of the world, speaks at Loyola Military Fortress University in his unratified 14th Amendment, Little Rome, D.C. See, they call D.C. Little Rome. That's why it's a democratic republic. It's a commonwealth. D.C. United States. What's that next word? Corporation. United States Corporation. A corporation under International Maritime Admiralty Law, Uniform Commercial Code, based upon Vatican canon law and perfected by the Roman Empire. So please look at my other videos when I keep stressing this. Admiralty law, maritime law, law of the sea. You hear Jordan damn it, Peterson, I've been watching him lately. Jordan Maxwell. So look at my previous videos. I'm talking about Jordan Maxwell. He's been talking about this since the 60s. He still talks about it today, and he has things in place to where if he gets taken out, he's going to release a lot of shit. He knows that any day within 24 hours, if he doesn't make a few phone calls, shit's going global. And so they know that, and they leave him alone. But look at Jordan Maxwell. You don't even have to look at my videos. Look at Jordan Maxwell. He will tell you all about maritime admiralty law, the law of the sea. You have the law of the sea, and that's where you get all of these things from. You have, courts, judges, lawyers, the gates to the court, the floodgates for the people. Everything makes sense once you get into it. I'm not gonna get into it, but Roman Empire. He lies about his power. He's over the Pope as of 1814. He only serves and works with the shadow Jesuits, being the real papal bloodline: Orsini's, Breakspears, Aldobrandinis, Parnasses, Somaglia, Adolfo. Who else was named Adolfo? Adolf. Not a good name. This is a bit off subject, but after World War II. Nobody named their kids Adolfo or Adolf. It's a very popular name. My real name is a very popular German name too from back then. But yeah, that name was pretty much just wiped from the history books. Adolfo is not of papal bloodline. Some black popes have been. So that means, like it said, he was a commoner. Other ones have been of the bloodline, but you don't have to be. Imagine that. You can be a nobody and rise to the most powerful individual on this planet. But what do you got to do to get there? How do you sleep? What do you think, after all? The next in power beneath the Jesuits is the Bourbon King Juan Carlos of Spain, the Roman monarch of the world, the King of Jerusalem, the SMOM military navigator. This is a true world's power system right now. Adolfo serves as a military general protecting the Zoroastrianism and Mithraism mystery schools. Okay, so we've talked about Zoroaster. Now, Mithra. Look up Mithra. This is where Mithraism comes in. These all predate Christianity, but like I said, there were hundreds of years of prophecies for the Anointed One. And Mithraism, Mithra was the one right before Christianity. So Mithra came really close. And I don't know if there are any like public Mithra facilities in the United States, but I know that there are public churches of Zoroastrianism, because what do they get? They don't have to pay taxes. They manipulate the congregation. They get all this money. So yeah, I know there's a lot of that. Just look that up. The Jesuits were created by the papal bloodline Farnese during the reign of Farnese, Pope Paul III. Loyola was commissioned by Alessandro Cardinal Farnese. The Borgia crime family created the Jesuits. Hear that? The Borgia crime family. There was a movie, I don't remember if it was on HBO or Netflix, but they talked about the Borgias. I never watched it because I had already read all the history about them. It's fucking dope, you know? But they call them the Borgia crime family. All these things are so underground that most people don't know anything about it. So, Borgia crime family created the Jesuits. After the terrible reign of Pope Alexander IV, the Romans were disgusted with the Spanish and vowed that there would never be another Spanish pope. This animosity toward the Spanish was further aggravated by the sack of Rome in 1527 in order to prevent the divorce of Henry VIII from Catherine of Aragon. The Borgia answer to the Spanish animosity was the creation of the Order of Jesuits, a quasi-religious military strike force whose members were totally dedicated to their Spanish leader, who bore the military title of General. Like the White Pope, the General is elected for life, and the Jesuit dynasty is a parallel or pseudo-papacy. Wait, like the White Pope, the General is elected for... Okay. So the General of the Jesuits is elected for life, but the Black Pope is definitely not, and I will show you. Of course, the General is content to run the show from behind the scenes so as not to arouse the age-old Italian hatred for the Spanish. The Jesuit General is referred to as the Black Pope. No. The Jesuit General is referred to as the Black Pope at the Vatican because he always dresses in black. The Jesuits were officially founded in 1540 by Pope Paul III. Ignatius Loyola became their first general. Don Francis Borgia was the great-grandson of Pope Alexander IV and co-founder of the Jesuits. On his mother's side, he descended from King Ferdinand of Aragon. The Spanish control the Vatican through the Jesuits for the past 500 years. The Spanish Inquisition has controlled the Vatican by means of the Jesuits. For the past 500 years, the Spanish Inquisition has controlled the Vatican by means of the Jesuits. Wow. Wow. Think about that. Spanish Inquisition was all controlled by the Jesuits. If you look at, like, when you look at, like, medieval torture devices and things that, you know, they did back then, I mean, just the inhumane things that happened. I mean, there's no way to even try to captivate the atrocities or the amount of atrocities or the horrendousness of the atrocities. But to know that, and I forgot this because it's been a while since I've read it, but to know that the Spanish Inquisition was on the Jesuits' order, one thing is wrong. So the general who is the Black Pope is not for life. How could... Well, he might be for life. Yeah, he might be the Pope for life, and then he dies and someone else becomes Pope. But he's not like, it's just him. So yeah, there's multiple Black Popes, just like there's rays, multiple whites. Man, Spanish Inquisition was horrible. Where are we at? All the Jesuits answer to their general in Rome, and he in turn is content to run the show from the scenes without any publicity or public, so as not to arouse the age-old Italian hostility to the Spanish. Vaticanus, then a combination of Vatic plus anus, such as Romanus is a combination of Rome plus anus. Therefore, Vaticanus Colus or Vaticanus Mons mean the prophetic hill or mountain, which can be rephrased as the hill or mountain of prophecy. The word Vatican is just a shortened form of the word Vaticanus, just like Claudian is a shortened form of Claudianus, as shown above. This association of the Vatican with prophecy is even confirmed by this recent Catholic book, Where Does the Word Vatican Come From, and What Does It Mean? The word derives from the Latin vates, which means tellers of the future. And then it went to fates. It became fates. This name was the name given to a hillside on the west bank of the Tiber River in Rome, because daily lineups of fortune tellers used to hawk their wares there to passerby on the street. In the 14th century, when the papacy was returned to Rome from Avignon, France, the present-day Vatican became the residence of the Pope, and the word came to refer to the enclave in the middle of Rome that had become the seat of the Roman Catholic Church. Source: Incredible Book of Vatican Facts and Papal Curiosities by Nino del Bello, 1998. Wow, so they all have anus as a suffix. Kind of fitting for the Vatican, right? I'm just saying. Okay, so I'm going to read a bit from this right here, but I would also post the link I got this a long time ago, but it's still on the web, so I will post the link to all of this. Because this is a lot. And, you know, if you're enjoying this, if you're really enjoying this, do me a favor. Smash that like for me. Come on. Smash that like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, because I'm probably going to get banned after this video. But, like I said, I'm a liar. I'm full of crap. You know, everything is lies and entertainment. And these are all conspiracy theories that no one can ever prove. And no one knows if any of it's even true. It's just on a website. So, hopefully I don't get banned. But this is what you asked for. You guys asked for the truth. I gave you 13 families that everybody talks about that rule the world, but I'm telling you about the real families that rule, that are not in the spotlight. So, this is the Mythos Mafia, the papal bloodlines of the Jesuits, the real families who from behind the scenes control the world through religion, finance, property, land, and through control and manipulation of the markets of the world. This collated information from what is readily available on the internet and other sources should be read in conjunction. Remember that. Should be read in conjunction with additional information written about this subject, which helps to clarify a few of the points covered that may otherwise be misinterpreted and misconstrued. The personages often imagined to be at the top are actually the second level of the human power. What I just say. First 13 families is what everybody thinks. But second level human power hierarchy. Yes, the Rothschilds, the Rothschilds, control massive amounts